going on, everybody? Welcome back to the RGR Football Channel. My name is Daniel Harms. Today is Wednesday, and yesterday the first round of roster cuts were made, and we get to see a little bit of what the Chiefs have planned for the next couple of games. They decided to let go of two wide receivers, Antonio Callaway and Chad Williams. They let go of tight end Evan Bayless, defensive back Manny Peterson, and also put Elijah McGuire on the IR, which means he is not taking up a roster spot. So we can garner a little bit of information from this. Antonio Callaway, unfortunately, just wasn't on the field enough to really get on this roster and not make a push for it either, especially with the emergence of guy like Doris Fountain and Marcus Kemp. Both of them have made pushes to get that sixth roster spot. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. Some of these changes that have been made, the tight end battle, the wide receiver battle. I think we can talk a little bit about defensive backs. And what it comes down to for me at wide receiver is I know that Dave Tobe has talked a lot or really gotten a lot of power with those guys that are on the edge of the roster. But I truly believe that if Doris Fountain continues to have, breakouts in games, maybe not necessarily the biggest camp contributor of all of them, but if he plays better than Marcus Kemp does in these games, as he did, in my opinion, on in the first preseason game, I think that he can make this roster without having to be a Dave Tope guy. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to be asked to play special teams because he definitely will. And when I think about a guy like Doris Fountain, who's a much better athlete than a Marcus Kemp, who does, when you watch him play, kind of remind me of Dwayne Bowe and a much more athletic Dwayne Bowe that can do some things after the catch with a little bit more speed. I like the prospect of having somebody his size. It's all about projection with him too. So I want to see him run a little bit better routes, and I want to see a little bit more from him in this next preseason game. Maybe get to see him with Patrick Mahomes a little bit. Just get him out there a little bit to see what he's got with the first team guys, how if he can get open, if he can make some contested catches, because I think that that could really help give him confidence going into this roster cutdown for the most part. And I think that Kemp has done a ton of great things in practice and in camp to get himself to this point where he also could be that sixth wide receiver. I am assuming, of course, that Cornell Powell will be on this roster as a draft pick. It makes sense. I think that they want to develop him on the field with these guys in this wide receiver room. So I think that that's the best potential spot for him. There really is only one wide receiver position on this roster that's being fought over, and that's the last guy in, who will be asked, like I said, to do all of the special team stuff. So if Doris Fountain becomes, let's just assume a marginal, not a huge downgrade from a guy like Marcus Kemp, who is a special teams all-star. Dave Tope loves him. If you can get that out of him, and he's a better offensive player on the field, like he shows better in games than Kemp has, I think that that's the way that they end up going. And like I said, I liked what I saw in the flashes that he displayed. If you guys follow me on Twitter at In Harm's Way 19, you can actually see the clip that I posted of him. Don't ask where I got it. I can't tell you, but I do think that he offers a bit more upside as a wide receiver. He is still a bit younger, and you have that ceiling that he hasn't hit yet, something that athletically he can hit, assuming development, of course. Unfortunate for Antonio Callaway. Injuries, like I said, just derailed his chances. I think he was really kind of pegged as a guy who could not only contribute to special teams as a returner or a gunner for that kind of reason, but also be a wide receiver and a weapon in this offense. Just the athletic ability, the speed. He does display some routes. He's got good hands. It just didn't work out for him, which is unfortunate. I liked Antonio Callaway. If he can get everything off the field figured out, I thought he was going to make a comeback to his career. Hopefully he does that and gets health and he's able to do that. So moving on to the tight end position, this is going to be a little bit interesting because I think there's going to be enough of a battle here that they can keep four tight ends. Unlike last year where they kept four and it didn't make any sense. If they keep four this year, it will make a little bit of sense because you'll have Bell, who is your blocker. You can say that 100% he is your blocking tight end. But then you have Noah Gray and um, excuse me, I just blanked on his name because we've been doing this all camp. We've been talking about him. I'm talking Jody Fortson. There it is. Boom. I got it. Jody Fortson. Those two guys can be weapons for you. We've talked a little bit about playing 13 personnel and really lining up in 13 personnel and then splitting everybody out wide. That's the kind of versatility that you can bring to this offense with four tight ends who actually give you offensive upside. Ricky Seals Jones unfortunately was not able to do that last year. He was just kind of a body that they kept. Yeller was never healthy. And it didn't metastasize you the way you wanted it to for the Chiefs last year. And Kaiser just never did anything. And unfortunately, he retired this year. So I think that this tight end room is much better. And if you can keep four guys, I think Jody Fortson can 100% improve the way that this offense attacks downfield. You can also use him in two tight end personnel. You don't have to have Blake Bell or Noah Gray be the only other guy going out there. He's a huge guy. He's making plays in camp. He made that 100 gram in the preseason game. I do believe he can give you some upside as a receiver in this offense, obviously making the transition from wide receiver. So I'm really thinking that four tight ends might end up being the way that they want to address this. And if they don't, and that puts Fortson on the practice squad, I'll be a little disappointed, to be honest with you, because if I'm being 100% me, real me, I would just not keep Blake Bell. As much as I know that using a blocking tight end is useful at times, I would just take Burton and have him be the blocking tight end because I guarantee you he's going to make this roster as a fullback. Put him at tight end, let him block there, and I'd honestly just make Fortson kind of be a body in the way if you have to. I don't really care so much about having a guy who's just a blocking tight end. Give me guys who are gonna give this offense upside and some field stretching down the seam possibility. I think Noah Gray, Travis Kelsey, and Jody Fortson do that for you. I see what Fortson is now. He's a much bigger body than he was as a wide receiver. He's bulked up. He looks the part. Yeah, he may not be the best blocker in the world, but who cares right now at this point? Just let him get out there and show you what he can do. I think he can stretch this field, and I think that you can really use him up the seams. I think that'd be really perfect for his skill set. So I think four is definitely a possibility. It's within their realm of possibilities, in my opinion. And if they end up keeping three, as much as I think that Andy will keep Blake Bell, I personally would just keep Noah Gray and Jody Fortson. That's my thing on that. So now we're going to go into another defensive battle, and we're going to go over to the defensive back battle, excuse me, where things are getting interesting in practice. We've seen, Juan Thornhill not getting reps with the ones a whole lot, even though he has rotated in with them. That's not say that he hasn't, because he has. And other guys on the roster are getting those first team reps. I believe Zane Anderson was one getting it today with Devon Key, who obviously gave up the big play, trying to being a little overzealous, in my opinion, in trying to come across the formation. And Trey Lance just saw him coming, so he threw it downfield for a touchdown. But after that, he played solidly, and I do think that he's earned the right to get some of these first team reps, at least because Spags likes to use three-man rotations at safety so much that it makes sense to have an athletic guy, a young guy in there learning, getting all this under his belt, because eventually, let's be honest with it, Dan Sorensen is not going to be here forever. As much as he seems to continuously be here forever, eventually these steps that he continuously loses will be the deal breaker, and they're going to have to move on from him. And I think that Armani Watts coming out of the pup list and getting on the field on Saturday, he made some plays. Obviously, made the interception. That's the thing you want to see. I believe that he brought himself back into this safety battle, and I think we look at guys like Bootle who are also getting some safety and corner reps. That's a versatility that they really like. I don't think the Bootle's going to make it. I do think he's going to be one of the last guys on the bubble there, so he's probably going to get on the practice squad. But I think he has a very good shot of making the roster. I think that Watts is pushing him right now. I think both of them are going to have these last two games to really show. In the end, probably comes down to knowing the defense. If they have to come down between Armani Watts and Key, I think they'll go with Watts if he keeps it level with Key, because he plays special teams as well. So that's something else to put into that whole factor. So I think when it comes down to it, if it's Key versus Watts and he's playing better, and that's really for me what it is with Watts, is getting on the field and showing that you're not just a special teams guy, that you can come into this defense and play a little bit with those first guys and be of safety in the rotation. I think that Parks didn't is kind of in no man's land. I'm interested to see what happens with Will Parks, because I brought him in as a veteran guy who we all assumed was going to make this roster as the fourth safety, and I'm not so sure that that happens now. So I'm interested to see what happens there in these next two preseason games because he's going to have to get out there and show what he's doing. I'm just going to level with you guys. Juan Thornhill will be the starting free safety in two safety sets, in my very humble opinion. He's the best free safety they have. And the more Dan Sorensen is out there without Juan Thornhill, the worse the defense will be. That's not throwing shade at him. He makes plays. He's a guy who always gives the effort, but we're being as upfront as we can about it. He's losing a step, and you saw it a little bit in the preseason game. He's out of position a little bit, not because mentally he's not there, but physically his body is just not able to do what it could do. He can still lay a hit, and that's really what he's there for. He understands the defense. He's a better through third safety than he is being a starter, and Thornhill will be out there. I'm not worried about it at all. He's going to be the starting free safety for this team going into this season and hopefully for the foreseeable future because of the athletic gifts that he has, the speed that he has. Just got to get him back up to speed and get that mental confidence back. That's what they're doing. They're just working him in practice right now. I truly think that when they step on the field in this preseason game on Friday, that he's going to be out there with the ones. I truly believe it. So, like I said, with this roster spot at defensive back is going to be interesting because Bootle could also make the case for that safety, that last safety position, if he chose that versatility that Fenton has. They really, really love that versatility that Fenton brings, especially because Fenton's now getting some return in as well. He's a very versatile guy, returns on special teams. He does corner, he does safety. I think he's an extremely good slot corner, something I never would have pegged for him, but his physicality really helps him out there. So if Bootle can show that he can be very versatile and play special teams and play corner and play safety, that might peg him in this roster a little bit. So I'm very much looking forward to how this all goes. I really hope some of this was insightful for you guys. What I want you to do with the comment section, obviously, is give me your favorite camp battle, something you've seen going on in the background and things that you really like that are happening that you want to happen for this next preseason game. So yeah, go ahead with the your favorite camp battle and or what you want to see out of this next preseason game. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Go Chiefs.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.